it's working.
It's working?
Yep, it's working. Okay. Hey, this
Should
is
start?
Into the
There we go.
Origins, and you can follow the show on MMORPG or at mmorpg.com and at SOAC. I'm Dersla from SOAC Gaming. This is Mark.
Hi.
He's MMORPG. This is Valek from Archeage Aegis.
Thank you. Hi.
And this is Kiwi from Kiwi Dream.
How you going?
And Into the Origin. Sorry, this is we had some technical difficulties, so
He had technical difficulties.
yes, I did. So the beta just ended, and what all really happened from it? I personally didn't really play through the beta very much because I was busy and I didn't really see anything that changed too drastically from the alpha and all that. So does anyone have any more insight on anything like that happened, or like any numbers or anything that went on with the beta, more people playing, etc.?
Huge numbers, huge number boost. They put in there was like 250,000 people, I think, that hit the last beta.
Yeah, I personally played only up to about level 15, then spent most of my time on alpha, but you could definitely notice that there was a lot more people on the servers, and that also made queuing up for certain quests a bit of an issue. So I hope that's something maybe we can get addressed for launch, because I'm pretty sure that on launch there will be a huge problem where I've seen pictures on Imager from Reddit and everything just showing about 20 to 30 people lining up all to do one quest, and I don't think that's really fun for anyone, but I hope that's something they can sort out for future.
Oh, so there's some bad quest lineups?
Yeah, there is some bad quests in the starting zones, so that...
The tagging quests.
Yeah, the tagging
I
quests.
think you can skip them, though. Like, they're not major storyline quests, so pretty sure they're skippable.
Right, but it's like, I think the major one, there was like clockwork one, where you're in the junkyard,
Oh,
had lining up for the 2 a.m. 2 p.m. I was like, oh.
I abandoned that one. I was like, I don't need that headpiece. I'm done. Oh, I still have not gotten that done. But I know I'm still getting used to the whole having to tag things again. I've been spoiled by other MMOs. I really wish they'll change that, but I don't think that's happening anytime soon.
Yeah, it would be nice in other games to have shared tags, so I think that would be something that would be very useful, but I don't really see it being in for live servers. One of the experiences I had was leveling up in Gwynedd Forest, and there's like this quest where you have to free these NPCs. They're floating in bubbles, and the only way to free them is to kill like the wizard who's standing next to them, but there was only like 3 or 4 of them in the area, and I looked around, couldn't find any of them, and there was about 30 people all fighting over these 3 or 4 wizards, and it took about half an hour to even get the quest done. Like, I know I could skip it, but I kind of also don't want to skip it because of the rewards you get, and in case it leads on to another quest chain somewhere else. So, but it's only a temporary problem. It will fix itself with time. So I guess it's just one of those things you have to deal with.
And
right.
It is also beta, so they could probably tweak the spawn timers and all that by the time the game actually goes live and everything like that.
Yeah,
So.
they won't like implement anything like phasing or anything. That has never been part of Archeage, so that solution won't happen. But yeah, jacking up respawn timers or other things like that could probably be a potential solution.
And I don't know. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I went in and tested the store, mainly,
What
for the last closed beta.
I didn't even check the store. Was anything different from the live version, or not live, from the beta version and the alpha version, or is it all like the same info?
No, it was all the same.
Okay,
It's
so
the same stuff. It went live, though, pretty much not long before the beta started, so...
Okay, so the store is pretty much the same. Nothing's really changing in it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wrote a whole article about that up on MMORPG if you want to see a listing of the items in the store and what I personally thought about them. It's only one that I really didn't like being in there, which was like the expansion scroll for inventory space and things like that. I'm not sure if you guys want to get into like the just actually talking about the store though by itself.
Yeah, I pretty much said the same thing on Junkies Nations too. That was probably the only question I had, was about it being expansion spaces being available in the game via game currencies for those that are free to play. It's probably about the only thing I had as well.
Yeah, I feel like the store has probably been covered quite a bit on like everywhere. I've seen a lot of articles over that because that's a pretty popular topic, is what's in the store, how broken is it, etc. Like that sort of thing.
I'm digging the outfits. I love them. I think they're amazing. I love the idea of slapping something, looking like I'm going to the mall. It's great.
Oh, can you use those in like combat in that too?
You can change your armor
So
via the blacksmith with an item that you buy on the store.
So would I be able to make myself look like I'm going to a ball when I'm going out to like kick in skulls or something?
Great.
Yep. You can put on the tuxedo and like overlap it, I think, with whatever armor you're wearing at the time. I think.
Now
But you lose the vanity item itself. Once you use it, it's gone. So if you wanted to use it again, like on a different piece of armor, you have to buy it again.
Okay. I'm pretty excited though, because that means I get to dress up in like a tux to go out and deal with people and PvP and that. That'll be
Right.
pretty interesting.
Yes, dress the part.
I think I've already. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I think I already did that with the glider. I bought one of the newer gliders with the barrel roll, whatever action.
They're amazing looking.
And then and you can stay up high. Like actually, you can gain, because the barrel rolls actually boost you up a tiny, tiny bit, and then your boost is also every 30 seconds or 20 seconds. You can actually gain altitude with those gliders instead of constantly losing altitude. But I overlaid that regular gliders look with the silver Batman kind of style thing, just because I liked what it looked like. Now I'm flying around with that now whenever I do sign in. So.
And then one thing I forgot to mention at the very beginning is if you guys have any questions, please mention them in like the comments, whatever. We'll cover those at the end of the podcast. So if there's anything, or unless it's really like pertaining to like the subject at hand, then we might answer it then. But just go ahead and ask questions, whatever. I know one thing that has been debated a lot is the whole free-to-play versus pay-to-play system. I know, at least amongst my friends alone, and then just like looking around a bit, like I know a lot of people are, they're pretty upset that they won't really, because like pay-to-play you get access to land, whereas free-to-play you don't, and a lot of people are kind of, I've seen have like been freaking out about that. Like, can anyone really cover that in more detail other than just, I know very little on the whole matter as a whole.
Well, I'm a building freak. A lot of people that might know me in Rift, especially, and that's kind of the only thing you're missing out on. But you can be added to your friend's family. So, like, if they're paying for it and they add you to their family, you have access to theirs. So I don't see any real discrepancy to it. What I do see as an advantage is people not hogging land as free to play, and they're not really using it. So I kind of like it.
Yeah, it's certainly understandable why it's done, because if you have played on Alpha, especially more recently, you will know how difficult it is to get space for your large scarecrow farm or your house or anything at all. It's just everywhere is absolutely full, so it descends into checking the date of the farms for when they expire, and then you end up camping around a farm. A slot waiting for it to expire, and then when it does expire, you could have, I've seen it, like you could have 10 people all around a certain area that's about to expire, getting ready to try and competing to put their farm down. So I think I do see the point of having free-to-play players not have land, but it also maybe makes them feel as if they're missing out on a part of the game. So it has its good sides and its downsides, and I think really I just kind of see what Tryon wants to do with that, but I don't really see them changing too much about it, to be honest.
And
It makes it
then
really difficult for people to grow just about anything.
Yeah.
But eventually, though, like you said, instead of people standing around waiting for something to expire, I think they're going to have that item available where people can, in the system working properly, where people can put a plot of land or a house or something up for sale and sell it like normally through the auction house or something like that properly, instead of people like waiting for somebody to forget to pay their bills like I almost did. So
I know it is a bit of a nightmare to find property on the alpha and that. I know one of my friends, he sailed over from the west over to the east to just go to, like, and he had to put his farm over there because, like, the west on Omega is just, like, completely packed full of places. I think he's, like, in, like, the jungly area on the east, whatever that one is. I don't remember what one exactly, but, like, that's one thing I'm kind of excited for, is because, like, you will have more space and all that. But, like, is there any, like, is there anything that you just flat out wouldn't be able to do other than, like, the farming and that? So, like, you wouldn't be able to farm in that, but you'd still be able to build and everything like that. It'd just be more
I think
costly for other places.
labor point regen is the only other thing that concerns most people. Labor point regen's different.
Oh, is it?
as a free to play player, you can't own any land. So it's not just farming; it's owning a house. It's like you can make stuff and you could put it down probably inside of a house that you have family access to, but
Right.
you can't buy or grab that land anyhow. But there's new zones that are going to open up in the future. This game is not going to stagnate and not get updates. So every time they open up a new zone, there will be more housing, area in that new zone to put stuff in. So
Yeah, also, the interesting thing is that once they talked about this a little bit on their live stream a few days ago, but once Apex is introduced into the store, free players, they can buy their Apex from the auction house if people are selling it, and then they can use their Apex, which is a store item that gives you, X amount of credits, and they can use that credit then to buy patron status, so they can, own houses or farmland for, as long as they can continue to buy Apex. But I don't really see that being very, cheap. It'll be very, very expensive at the start of the launch, I reckon. So, as time goes on, Apex gets cheaper and cheaper. I think, free-to-play players who play enough will be able to have land, farms and houses sustained as long as they can grind the gold to pay for it on the auction house.
So
they're not
Apex
totally
is
limited.
kind of like the equivalent of Plex from Eve.
Yeah.
And I've played a tiny bit of Eve. And from the people I've talked to in Eve, like even now, Eve's been around for years now. What, over 5 years? I have no idea exactly how long it's been up. But and Plex has been a part of Eve for a long time. And I don't think Plex is like used like some. I could be wrong about this, but I'm not sure how popular it actually is to use Plex to pay for all your playtime. I know people say you can do it, but I'm not sure how many people actually do it. Maybe somebody in chat knows.
Coming into equivalent, because it's Tryon with Rift, we already have Rex over there. So the Tryon store is basically the same, almost. I mean, there'll be some differences, of course, and Rex is quite popular for it. Rex being the equivalent of what we're talking about right now in Rift, and people buy it to also pay for their game. So it's working out quite popular there. Whether it does in Archeage now remains to be seen.
Have you actually done it yourself?
No, I'm a patron.
In Rift?
No,
Oh,
I'm a
okay.
patron. So, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, like the other thing was the labour regen. Is the thing that seems to be concerning most people with the free-to-play and pay-to-play
I know.
status.
I know
It's like
one
half
thing.
the regular speed?
Yeah,
Like
it's,
half the-
I'm pretty sure it's 5 in both, isn't it?
I think it's 5 times 5 for free-to-play and 10 times 5 for patrons, and then you get 5 offline, I think. So it's the
Yeah.
offline part.
Yeah.
Yeah. Patrons have 10 online, 5 offline. Free-to-play have 5 online and 0 offline.
Oh,
But
so
Wow.
that's still being looked at by Tran. Like, there has been, loads and loads of feedback on the forum posted about it. That isn't really fair to, because people will just find ways to AFK on the servers. through
Ship is
probably
5-5, honestly.
Yeah.
exactly.
I mean,
Because
if it was 5-5, then they'd still at least be able to keep up for the most part without having to essentially jerry rig like their keyboard or run in a circle or something. I mean, people do that already for leveling their mounts. I doubt they're not going to do that so they can't get labor points too.
Yep. So I think, to be honest, I think they'll just have to do that because, especially at the start, because if people are trying to find ways to stay online, even when they're AFK, that'll just unnecessarily fill the servers, and then that can create a whole other manner of details of lag and just general other issues. So I think it's just, in the long run, and in the interest of fairness, I think it's just better to keep the labor points at 5-5 for free-to-play players, and that way,
Well, maybe
whenever they're not
maybe
playing for
I'm
a day or two,
lazy.
they're not punished for it.
Maybe I'm lazy, but I very rarely undo my whole bar. So I'm thinking if I'm going to be that dedicated and use all my labor points, I'm probably going to end up paying for the game. So
Yeah.
to me, it's like if someone's that dedicated, they might end up making that investment. Whereas for a casual player that's not using all their labor points, it won't make much difference.
Like, I know even on a few days when I just condensed like all my materials that I'd been stocking up and made like 7 or 8 trade packs and just running all over creation carrying those stupid things. Like, even then, like, I still didn't even like drop below like 4,000 by the end of all of it. And like, I don't really like, maybe like there's other things that are a lot more costly. I don't know. I normally stick with commerce and farming and all that sort of thing, so I might just somehow be like sticking to the lower end, but I don't really know. Like, I can't even imagine using all of your labor points and just struggling to be able to get them. But
Well,
then again,
you making
probably-
tax certificates takes a whole bunch of labor points.
Yeah.
Mining, high-end mining nodes, the Anya mining nodes can take like 40 points per node. It also takes like a whole 10 seconds to mine one node. It's ridiculous.
So, do the higher end things, are those mostly what consume most of your labor points?
Yeah, if you're going to be crafting large pieces of armor, they get into hundreds of labor points to craft large pieces of armor. To cut down a sequoia tree and then turn all those logs that you get from a sequoia tree into lumber, it's going to take you a bunch of points. If you're a miner like I do, I mean, I've maxed out my mining even after they updated the limit to like 90k or 70k or whatever. It takes you a lot. You have a ton of stone left over, and you have a ton of these Anya pebbles that you've got to transform, and each one of those takes like I don't remember the exact number, but it's quite a bit of labor points to turn Anya pebbles into Anya ingots, which are necessary to get into a later instance, the Serpentis mines.
Okay. So it will be pretty costly at the late end of game if you're trying to like craft things and mine and that sort of thing. So if you're trying to actually like be a crafter, it's probably going to be a lot more costly than if you're like me and you're just essentially supplying everyone with their materials.
Yep.
Okay. And if you are a crafter, though, do you really need a house or anything like that? Because it seems like you just need the workbenches, and I know those are for free in areas, so would you actually need to be pay to play if, like, say you don't mind waiting longer to actually make your stuff, or, like, is it going to be like if you're farming where you literally need that land, or else you're going to not be able to do it very easily?
It's helpful to have a house because then you can put all these items in your house, like a smelter or these different motifs that increase your proficiency in certain crafting professions or whatever. Mm-hmm. So you can put like and also you'll have space to put the regal crafting benches closer to where like you normally hang out instead of having to go to a newbie area to use the regal crafting benches there. But past the point where you're making regular crafted armor, there's crafting benches that use special materials. For example, the Carcass region has its own special crafting bench for dragon materials, and you have to go there to use that bench because it's nowhere else. So, and
But you
I've
can
never
still
seen
have that
people
bench
fight
without
over
the
it.
house, right?
I don't think you can put. You might be able to put like a crafting bench on a farm, but I've never done it. So
I have
don't
my
know.
workbench for that one.
I mean,
I
if
know
you
that.
go ahead.
No, you go, mate.
I was going to say, well, if like you had a farm or whatever, you'd still have to be pay to play to be able to put it down, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
Because you need
Yeah,
the patron
you do.
status. So it would be more of like you would have to put it down on some sort of land.
friend's house or
Yeah.
something. I mean, you can create an item, you can craft it, but actually placing it in the world, I don't think you can place it outside of an area that has been designated. You're allowed to affect that area. I've never tried it though. This is stuff that I should test, but I haven't.
But you
Wait.
can use anybody else's except for the farmers one,
Yeah.
which is needed for a lot of things. So there's plenty of places you can use them. You can still go and do your stuff. Plus, you have the little outlets to go to as well. But you can use anybody else's that gives you permission. That is, and a lot of people do.
Would you be
Yeah.
able to use the like the proficiency things you put down? Like if I like say my friend was pay to play and I was free to play, would me putting them in his house, would that count for my proficiency, or would that like be his because he owns the house?
I
Or how
think
does that work?
it might count for whoever's allowed to use the stuff in the house, because when you click on the house and it pops up a little nameplate, like dialogue box, there's like a button to look at the boosts, and it'll list all the boosts to proficiency that you have that come from items in the house. I don't know if it affects everybody who steps in, or it's something that, again, I should probably check, but I don't have enough accounts or characters to actually try that. So
Okay.
And also, of course, if you have a house, you also have the advantage of being able to have storage chests. Depending on the house, the bigger the house you have, the more storage chests you can get. But yeah, I have a farmhouse on the alpha servers, and I have 3 storage chests, and each of those have 50 slots. So 150 slots of extra storage is invaluable if you are a crafter, because there's just so many different materials, and it quickly fills your bag and your bank. And I have full, my bag's 130 slots are all full, my bank is full, and I had 1.3 of these 50 slot chests totally full. So you can get a 50 slot chest on the store. I'm not sure how many credits it is, but you can also craft other ones in game, like 10 slots and 20 slots, and you can only really have those in houses, and those specialty workbench things you can craft. You can put them on there as well, and you can share them with your friends and your family or your guild, so you can kind of work as a group and just fill the chests with certain items for crafting.
that was one of the things that I wrote about in the article about the store, though. I think you used to be able to make the 50 slot chests yourself,
Yeah, you could buy it.
and now the only way to get it now is through the store, is to buy it through the store. I think you can still craft the 40 slot chests though yourself, but
What about the 100 slot? Can you still
I
craft the
haven't
100
seen
slot
those.
chest?
I haven't seen those.
There was a big black 100 slot chest that required insane materials, and did 50,000 alchemy for it.
I'll have 4 of
I-
those.
yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't actually seen them, I don't think, since the most recent 1.2 patch. I don't know if they'll be a store item or not.
I haven't seen them either, like ever. So maybe I just missed it.
I had a few guildies with them, once you could make them before the patch, and then you have guildies who have like a large house and they have 300 slot chests in it, and it's just insane how much storage you can get. And even if you own a mansion, I think you can get up to 5 of these chests in them. So if you want to put,
It's useful for guilds. Yeah, definitely.
it's very useful for guilds. It kind of serves the purpose
Instead
of the
of
guild
having
bank
a guild
almost.
bank. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's moments like this, I'm kind of happy I'm just like a measly farmer. I don't need to worry about much storage space. Like, oh, what do I need this room for? Oh, I'll just throw my beans in the in the little warehouse that I get for free. But
Insanely schmutz.
but I imagine it'd be a lot more useful if you're actually crafting things other than like trade packs or like just selling the raw materials in the auction house. That would probably be a lot more valuable. But as Mark said, you
Yeah.
can pretty much just use it as a guild bank at that point, and then I mean, your guild.
You
usually
can
get
stack
access
up
it.
to like raw materials are 1,000 to stack now, but the refined versions of that, which a lot of people turn their raw materials into refined as quickly as they get them, are still only 100. So you can only have like 100 lumber, if I remember, and before it starts a new stack, but you can have like 1,000 logs. If they change that, into like 1,000 lumber per stack, that would be awesome. So I could save more inventory space, but I doubt that will happen anytime soon.
So they really make it so if you're a crafter, you're going to be using up a lot of inventory space if you're making anything that's large.
If it's anything complicated.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
so that makes a lot more sense as to why you'd want those really big chests then, because like I know for me, like I don't have like I'm probably going to get those eventually because I'm a pack rat and I'm going to hold on to like every little item I ever get. That gray rock I looted at level 2, gotta keep that, because never know.
Wow, really?
Yeah, there's quest items
I'm
I've still
pretty
got
bad.
in my inventory. I have no idea where they came from. Like, I've got this pink bra or something in my inventory. I don't know where it came from. And the description on it is like, this isn't the item you're looking for. It's like, great, but what is it for? I think it's just a trash item, but...
It is, yeah.
And there's other things too. Like there's pieces. I'm not sure if anybody has stumbled across these things, but sometimes you'll be wandering around the world and you'll find like an abandoned backpack or bag or something, and in it you'll find like a random piece of paper with some lore written on it. It's part of like one page out of 50 of somebody's journal, and they're not just random pages that like you're supposed to pick up, read, and throw away, which I've done by accident, but they're actual like parts of a book that if you find all the page, like it's 10 pages at a time, and then you have to find another item that binds those 10 pages together, and you make a part of this journal, and then you make all those parts of this journal, and you can bind all the parts of the journal together into one book. And that book, I'm not sure how much it's worth because I've
People
never
really
seen.
doing those things? Is there anybody out in the chats that are doing those things? Are you?
I've got parts of Marion's diary. I'm working on that, and I've been basically wandering around an underwater area where it's easy to pick up these pages and the materials that you need to bind these books together. But it takes a long time. I mean, because there's a lot of pages, and lots of times you'll get duplicates, and it's like 50 pages for this journal, and I'm working on page 1 through 10. I've probably got 5 of them.
So
That's dedication.
are these pages that you're hunting down?
They
an
all
obsessed
take
animal?
up one slot in your inventory. So
Are they like random, or are they like this page, or like pages like 1 to like 5
They're connected.
always
They tell
spawn
a
at, like,
story.
this little area or something, or like
oh
like
yeah,
are
they're
the spawn points
randomized.
totally random, and like it's just like good luck.
Yeah, they come in chests normally, or hidden items. Like there's this island out in the ocean with an underwater cave, and you swim up in there, and there might be a backpack lying on the ground there. Open it up, and there might be a page inside, and whatever is inside is randomized. There's a little horseshoe-shaped island at the mouth of the river to Marianople. Every once in a while, a backpack will spawn there on the ground on that island that is pretty easy to get to. It's some people hide their boat there and wait for people to leave and attack their boat. And there's these backpacks all over the world, just in hard to reach places, with or chests underwater, which is where I get most of Marion's diary entries.
So it's completely random. That's gonna be a long time to get that.
Yeah, and like I said,
long-term
they all
project.
take up one slot. So they take up a lot of inventory space too. While you're trying to collect all these pages, you're normally running out of inventory space. You're like, I have to toss one of these things out, or I'm tossing something else that's more valuable. Then
Yeah.
it's sad.
And then
OCD, I guess.
kind of changing the subject a little bit, but I know I'm not sure how serious this statement was that I saw in the faction chat a few days ago when I was playing, but someone was saying that they are going to get patron status, and essentially they're just going to hire serfs for their land. Would you actually be able to do that? Like hire, like
Sure.
he wants to like hire like, or like have like, or not hire them per se, but like have essentially like open his farm up to like select people that are like paying him, so he can like let them use his farm and make money off of it. Like, is that actually something you could do? Because like I
You
thought that
do
was
it.
hilarious, but I'm not sure how.
It would have to be one person at a time, like per farm,
Yeah.
because otherwise they'd be stealing from each other. But yeah, sure.
Yeah, basically you can just invite that person to your family and then just set the permission of your farm or wherever to family, and then they're free to use your farm. They can plant stuff, they can harvest stuff, they can pretty much do everything that you can do except obviously demolish it. So yeah, you could totally do that. You could hire out your farm and they can pay you 10, 15 gold or whatever the price is per day, and then you can just sit back and earn money that way. And if they don't pay, you can just uproot all of their crops and then revoke their permission. But it's one of those systems that is really open to abuse. So if people could maybe get paid to use the farm and then just not give them permission. So it has to be if you're going to do that kind of thing, you have to do business with a reliable person rather than just some random person who's known for maybe scamming people. So it's I don't even know how to explain it, but it's a bit tricky. It's a tricky situation to be in, but it is possible.
It seems like it would be really interesting to see that happening. I'm not sure how common that'll actually end up being, but I know I'm going to be pretty excited to actually see people doing that. And depending on how much I get into the game, I might actually do that on a farm or two or something. I don't know.
I think it will happen, on a very, very small scale.
Yeah.
I think the rest of people will just be kind of saving up the money just to buy the Apex and then buy the patron status, and then they can have their own land. And, on top of that, they can also regenerate a lot more labor points. So I think there's a much bigger reward if you can be a bit more patient and save up your gold for the Apex. And, we don't even know what kind of price it'll be yet. It'll just be at the price of whatever the players decide on the auction house. But, that's something to be shown in the future. But if you put the time in, you can have all the benefits of patron status, but it will come at a gold cost.
So, at the very least, you will be able to get essentially you'll get patron status even if you are free to play. It'll probably take a lot more time though, and
Yeah.
it would be a lot more difficult to do because of you'd have to fight with the community over it, but it'd still be doable.
Yeah, doable, but a free-to-play player can do everything a patron status player can do. It'll just take longer.
Yeah.
That's just kind of the overall situation of it all.
And then I know guilds are a really big thing, and I know that you can definitely use like the guild's land and that for like if a guildie sets their land to be able to use by guilds and all that. Is there any other like benefits to really using a guild other than like that very obvious one where like if you're a free to play player, some of the guildies will set their like areas so you can actually use it and stuff like that, or is it mostly just like more subtle things?
Guilds get guild leaders if they own a castle, which is obviously there's going to be a lot of guilds without castles, but if your guild manages to claim an area up in Aurora, then your guild leader begins to accrue taxes also on the land. If he or she wants to set taxes to a certain rate. Also, you can start enabling quests in that area to let people come and pick up a daily quest and complete it and get like honor points or something based on that. And also you start getting these tokens or medals or lords coins or whatever they're called now that you can give out to your guild members. They can go buy, I think on Mirage Island, like suits, not suits, but costumes that will give pretty massive stat bonuses to like health and all kinds of stuff. So it's useful, especially if you have a castle, being in the guild.
So it seems like the main benefits from being in the guild would be from being in like a really large guild that has a castle or is able to get a castle, and then reaping
a strong
the benefits
guild.
of that. Is there any real benefit to joining a smaller guild, or or is it going to really encourage the bigger guilds and them competing for the castles and all that and members?
Smaller guilds can still be useful and powerful, or they can still get combine their their talents or their time or their labor points and get things done. Like a smaller guild can farm out the pieces necessary to get a black pearl. It's just probably going to take longer than a guild that has a massive zerg that can run around the area and just kill things as they pop up. So they'll just have to be smarter about doing the things they want to do, prioritize things a little bit better than zerg guilds, you know.
Yeah.
It's kind of how numbers game.
I think engagement will be a big factor for a small guild if they really want to survive. Because if you have maybe a big guild with 200 members, and yet maybe only 20 or 30 of those would play together for maybe a cross-sea trade run or whatever, or a world boss, and you have a smaller guild who maybe have 40 to 50 members, but they have all of the members engaging in the same activity together, then they can, in theory, that smaller guild could take on that bigger guild in a team fight or whatever. So it just really depends on how the guild is able to engage with each other, get the numbers together, get the team built, and actually, do stuff with those numbers. It's very,
And
very
also
common to see
alliances.
guilds.
You're seeing
Yeah,
a lot of guilds
alliances.
already create alliances with other guilds. So in the long run, you could be a small guild and then team up with other people, which is great always for any community. I've been playing without a guild and with them. I've just recently joined one, so it'll be interesting to see the differences, but I guess a lot of them are at the end game. What I do enjoy about being in a guild, though, is trade runs. I heard a lot easier. So that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and
Yeah, trade runs are awesome. That's the most exciting part, especially if you do them during unsafe times, or you're getting chased by somebody. Like it used to be, sea battles where despawn your ship and fly over, to wherever everybody else despawned their ship and kill them all, and then respawn your ship. But recently, people have actually, kept their ships up because gliding, it sucks ass. No, it's bad. At least over the open ocean, and I've participated in actual sea battles where Cryptini was on last week. He would drive a ship and just be super technical about it, and have people swap sides on the cannons and take down an actual ship while moving like to a destination. Felt like an action. It felt like something out of maybe Assassin's Creed.
yeah, I know one of my friends, he was streaming a little bit, and he was with his guild, and he was essentially proving his like naval prowess or whatever to his guild, and like he was like ordering people around to like go and like turn the sails down for like turning and stuff like that, and like all that sort of thing, and like they're just like destroying all these other, like outmaneuvering and destroying all these other ships. It was really impressive, like because like I guess they had like 4 or 5 trade packs like on the ship they just threw on like the deck or whatever, so they really didn't want to despawn it, so they just wanted to get it to wherever they're going.
It's a lot of fun.
I think
It feels like sometimes can feel like a Pirates of the Caribbean movie or something.
Yeah.
I think that's
I mean-
one of the very, very minor details about the change to gliders on the ocean. Yeah, it really, really sucks to glide when you're overseas, but it also introduces that whole new element of the ship battles, because before people would just glide over and then PvP on the enemy team's ship, whereas now it's more emphasis on the ship and on the cannons, and I think that makes the experience that little bit more epic, because it's kind of a unique experience you don't really find in other games.
Not to mention that it'd also be a lot harder to actually board the enemy ship, and then probably like if like the actual ship battles are like as they've seemed to me, where like it's actually like really relying on everyone getting to like where they need to be on the ship and doing what they need to do, like to actually maneuver it around and fire at people, then getting like a few of your guys on an enemy ship and disrupting all that could actually be a lot more useful than before, if like everyone's just gliding on anyway and not really caring.
Now, like if you want to jump on someone's ship, you're going to have to come within actual like teleportation range and shadow step to people on their ship or blink or something.
Yeah.
It just won't work. You'll jump up to glide, and then you'll like the ships will keep on moving, and you'll just be like hovering in midair and then crashing into the water and be like, "Wow, it's a waste."
I can just see it now, like a bunch of people trying to glide off and just like getting outran by this ship. Because like I know,
Yeah.
I tried to use a glider. It was a really really low level glider granted over the open seas, and like I'm pretty sure I got like flung backwards or something. It was
Yeah,
Even
even
flung
hilariously
backwards and forward.
bad.
You guys are talking about
even
things we
good
need
gliders
visuals
get
for.
tossed backward.
We don't have visuals.
Yeah,
We should have like videos running or something at the same time.
Right.
Like,
So these things are
but
just not epic in talking.
even people with good gliders like the Red Dragon glider and stuff like that, those still are subject to the turbulence on the high seas. So even really, expensive gliders have issues going in a straight line going forward. It's the turbulence stuff supposedly will be changed, but it's a little bit ridiculous right now,
okay.
in my opinion, at least.
And then I know, like I guess botting on the betas and all that, they've been cracking down on that. I've heard. Is this correct? Or because like I know at least in the alpha, they don't really seem to care too much about the like gold sellers spam. I know I keep
Oh,
seeing
that's changed.
like
That's changed a lot.
like just humongous walls of text just like popping up every so often. It gets kind of
I mean,
annoying, but
It's been that way since like the second or third week after alpha went public. Like when alpha was like actual alpha and it was invite only and nobody was really talking about it. There weren't any gold sellers, but when it went public and when there was like actual like open invites, you would see sometimes in the general chat pastes and people like with accounts that would stay up so you could block them. But then it changed into gold sellers would make an account, paste in their text, their advertisement for their gold selling website, whatever it was, and then would delete the account and make another. Not delete the account, but delete the character, make another character and paste it in. So you couldn't block them because whatever character you would have blocked would have been removed from your block list because they didn't exist anymore. But supposedly, that's been getting better. Trion's been paying more attention because the public betas are much more high profile than the alpha was. So they probably have actual moderators looking at the chat, now and banning people as they come up. Hopefully, I'm not one of them, so I don't know how that works. So.
The difference between last week and say 3 weeks ago is huge. Like you can tell that the system's been put in place and they're being nailed pretty quickly now. I mean, these guys are ruthless. I mean, I think I was on there farming for like 3 hours one night and it was continual. It was so full on. And then going back like a week later and they would disappear, which was pretty good. But on Friday, I wrote an article for Junkies Nations about the latest thing discovered on Alpha for GM SmackDown. They've put in a new system and it was really exciting. I reported a bot and mail came back to me and they're confirming that the bot was a bot and they had gotten rid of it and I got my labor points back for spending on it plus 25 labor points as well. So that was a huge find and probably a huge thing for gaming altogether, not just Archeage. So that was really exciting too. So they're definitely hammering down on bots, which is really exciting to see.
so you can essentially go and hunt down bots.
You can.
That actually sounds like it'd be
Yeah.
pretty humorous.
You
Right.
could do it before. I
Exciting.
mean, before they had the same system, but you would like set people up and they'd have to be in certain zones, and you could report them, and then somebody could come by with their cloak and turn them into jail. But they've changed that. The cloak doesn't work the way it used to. You don't have the option to arrest people anymore. So Trion does it instead, but you still use the same skill to report people, which is it's nice that it's in game, that it actually exists, because most games wouldn't even have like a report this person thing. Just wouldn't be there. It is very cool.
That's very useful. How common is botting though at the moment? Because I mean, I haven't seen any bots, but then again, I'm a low level noob who just kind of roams around doing his farming and trading things. So I probably am not in the areas where like a lot of people are really botting at the moment, if they are. So like, how prevalent is it, would you say? Like, is it like common, or is it still like pretty rare? Or
Where there are gold sellers, there are bots. So if that's any indication, that's a lot. But in the
And
same
you'll see
token,
'em
I'm
a
just
lot.
surprised anyone's buying gold in beta and alpha.
That,
That
Yeah.
blows my mind. I'm like,
Yeah.
what?
I'm
Why
surprised
would
they're
people
actually
buy it?
around.
You'll see a lot of these bots in like the level 30 areas, like White Arden, or sometimes in I've seen them sometimes in even PvP areas when they're in peace times. But it's ridiculous that anybody would buy gold at this point because it's all getting wiped. None of this is getting carried over to retail, so it seems like
So
a
I
waste
don't
of
get-
time and money. Maybe people have too much money on their hands. Maybe that 1% of Archeage players who just buy everything with real money. Yeah, who knows? And there's a
kinda
legit
ridiculous
now,
just to think about.
like, there's a way now that's legitimate. Buy things with real money on the store and sell those items for gold on the auction house. I mean, why would you buy from a third party unless the conversion rate's insanely better? Why run the risk? I don't know.
Like, I know I've never really seen or like much reason to be buying gold anyway. Like, it seems like most of the expensive stuff, it's not like so expensive or like it's like a huge option, if that makes sense. Like, it's not like ludicrously expensive. Like, it's expensive, but like you'd be able to make that money relatively quickly if you do the right stuff. But I mean, so like I've never really even seen why you'd want to buy the gold in the game, especially because it's alpha or beta or whatever. And like it, like you said, it is all getting wiped, and that just makes no sense to me. I'm just hoping that like it's not going to be bad once we get into live, because like maybe then like more people will want to buy gold, and like so the bots will be up in arms more.
Well, that's why this is encouraging, this latest incentive and what's been put into the game with the GM SmackDown stuff.
Yeah.
That's what's encouraging. If this is in place now, by the time it does go live, that's I'm pretty. That gives you confidence that something's going to be in place, because it was guaranteed to have a ton of bots. Because Archeage is just such an awesome game.
Yeah, and then it is
Yeah.
a Korean game, and everyone knows the bad botting in a lot of Korean games. Like, I know I played Aeon for a bit, and that was
Ion.
Ion, whatever.
Ion,
there's an
dude.
A in it. As far as
Come
I'm
on.
concerned, it's Aeon, and like
Oh
there
man,
were
I spent
gold
3 years of my
sellers
life.
everywhere. It was cringeworthy. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
it
just
was pretty
hoping
bad.
Archeage isn't going to be nearly as bad as that.
What I
Spent
think, though,
3
is
years
just
of my
that
life.
as you buy, it just makes a lot more sense. If you're going to buy something with real life money, you'd buy it from the store, because, you buy credits from the store for, I don't know, £10 or whatever your regional equivalent is. And if if you really need, gold, then you could just buy something that costs a lot of gold from the store. Like, for example, maybe the tractor upgrade, the farm wagon upgrade, that lets you have, I think it's 2 additional trade packs, and the farm wagon will also move faster. So things like that, they will always be in demand, and they will always have a good gold price. So it just, it may take a little bit longer, but if you're going to spend real money, you may as well do it the safe, secure way and buy something from the store and sell that on auction house that you know what you'll get a good price for. And you may even get more gold for your real life money than you would if you were to buy from a gold seller. So it's just really, gold selling just doesn't make a lot of sense for a game like Archeage, to be honest.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because I didn't really realize that you could sell the things from the auction house
Store.
thing, the store, that's what it's called. I didn't really look through too much of what was in there, because I didn't really plan on spending money on it, so I just kind of figured it was mostly like stuff that like wouldn't
Yeah.
either sell well, or like you wouldn't really be able to sell or anything like that. But like if you
Labor
could just
point potions will sell fine. Those will sell all the time. Inventory expansion scrolls will also be sold probably pretty well, honestly, because people will be willing to spend the gold to buy those from people who have money, real money, to buy them from the store. So certain items will sell well, certain other ones won't.
So
Maybe some
is the store in Archeage essentially like in SWTOR, Star Wars: The Old Republic, where like pretty much anything you buy on there you can sell for in-game gold if you wanted to.
I think certain things you might not be able to, but I haven't tested that, so I'm not sure.
So probably for the majority, you would be able to.
Mm-hmm. I think
Okay.
like loyalty items, I don't think you might. I don't know if you can sell those. The ones you buy with the points you get from logging on
Yeah.
once a day. I don't know. Could be. I mean, it would make sense if all of them could be sold. But I could
Not
see a
loyalty
case for
items.
not allowing certain things.
Now,
Definitely loyalty items.
one thing I forgot to ask earlier was, do free-to-play players get access to the loyalty points as well, or is that restricted to pay-to-play?
That's restricted to patrons. So if you have patron status, you log in once a day, you get your 5 loyalty tokens.
Okay.
And then you can use those loyalty tokens to buy special items like pets or chests or labor potions or tax certificates. You get like 20 tax certificates for 15 loyalty tokens. So it's really, really efficient that way if you don't want to spend your labor. It's a lot more efficient to buy tax certificates with your loyalty than it is with your labor points if you don't really want to spend your labor points. But personally, I just spend my loyalty tokens on the chests because you can get Guild of Stars, and you can, if you're really lucky, you can get a glider or a car to drive around in. So that's kind of my fingers crossed on the car.
Yeah, I figured that the loyalty tokens were probably restricted to pay-to-play, but you can never be too sure with some games. There's like I know a few games that like they don't care if you are pay-to-play or free-to-play; they'll still give you those sort of things.
But then again,
Yeah.
free-to-play players buy Apex, buy patron status, and that's 30 days of loyalty tokens. So if there is something you really want on the loyalty store, you can just get it through the in-game Apex and just buy patron status, and that's 150 loyalty tokens you'll gather over the course of the month.
Yeah. And
All right,
go ahead.
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say we're coming up, I think, almost on an hour here.
Yeah. We're getting pretty close.
Not sure when we're going to start taking questions or whatever.
Yeah, I was just going to say, just to wrap up, I mean, we've got notes and, of course, everything's freestyle, but I'm going to be in here once a month and gathering community news, looking at things that everyone's doing. Would like to get in touch with some guilds out there if you have community projects and all that good stuff. I know a lot of this isn't going to happen till live, but we'd just like to start it rolling in case anything happens. So the address is down there somewhere. You'll have that right. For sitting on a couch, and contact us. We've got on forums as well. We've got posts floating that'll be updated every 2 weeks, and we'd like to hear from everybody to see what's going on in our community.
Yeah, I feel like it'll be really interesting to actually get a hold of some of the community projects. I always felt like my first MMO was a sandbox game, and I felt like that was probably my favorite thing about those games, is just what the community was putting together and doing in the game itself. That's, in my opinion, where sandbox games really shine, is that's where like most of the like fun is like what the community's putting together for it. So really excited to see what everyone's doing. But yeah, if there's any questions, feel free to ask them in chat. We're more than
Did you have any on your side, Mark?
Yeah, Mark. do you see?
I'm typing in chat right now. They're talking about Blade and Soul and WildStar for some reason. But it doesn't seem like they have any questions yet. Or, I mean, I could scroll up a little bit. Let's see. Problem if there's crazy people. No, I don't see anything yet, but we'll wait another couple minutes until somebody has a decent question. What about the MMORPG?
Dimamere Cat just brushed really briefly while we were talking about the store and bots and stuff, and said, wouldn't it be boring to buy yourself to the top of the game? Question mark. So I think it would be boring. It's pretty cool that there's options, though, if you were free to play and you needed some stuff that you could get that without needing to go anywhere but stay in game. So it was more centered around the whole bots thing than anything else.
Yeah,
think
mostly what's been asked over here has already been answered. It's like stuff like whether like free to play will be able to get like the labor points and stuff like that, or like can my friend have or let me use his farm and like that sort of things. So, like stuff that's already
Okay.
been answered either by us in the stream or like by someone else in chat.
We got one question from user Discreet Man. He's asking about how much Apex will cost, or how much we think it should cost. For patrons, the game is easy. Once free to play gets a patron, everything is fine. But if it takes 2 weeks for them to get the gold that they need to buy Apex, then it's kind of useless. So how much do you guys think? Like, I mean, obviously it's going to fluctuate, and I don't know how much. Kiwi, maybe you have the most information about this. I'm not sure how many other people here played Rift, but how much
Yeah.
does Rix and Rift cost, like real money, and how much does it normally get
$10.
sold for?
It usually sells for 1,200 gold. So the equivalent of that in Archeage would probably be about the same. So it's like $10 for an actual Rex.
And you just use one. It's like one item, and that enables.
No, you
patron
have a
status?
certain amount. It's 1,250 credits for one of the Rex. So you have a certain amount of credits. 1,250 for $10.
Well,
So
That's
it
quite
should
a
be
bit.
about the same. But
I'm not
the
sure how long
market
that's going to
decides.
take to. Yeah.
Right, the market will
Archeage.
decide how much that sells for. Like on
Exactly.
North America right now, it's 1,200. On EU, it's nearly 2,000. So it's going to
Less
fluctuate.
players probably buying it. Probably.
Right.
And then I know
Um,
in like other games, it does like just the like currency sort of thing. It does change quite a bit. Like I know one of my friends was saying how in like SWOTOR, like everything, like I don't know because I have like level 20 character, but like like I guess like when you get like max level, everything's like you could get from like there is cheap. So I'd imagine it would just vary on the community more than the actual price of the item. It'd be more of the demand versus how many people are looking for it and all that sort of thing.
mm.
So like if you have a lot
So-
of people just wanting to just not really care about it, then it's probably going to be a lot lower than otherwise.
Probably. Somebody asked in chat if BBar3 asked if we knew if new races would be pay to unlock, and I very much doubt that will happen. I'm just pretty sure they'll just turn them on someday, and some probably, like, I'm guessing, you know how the new patches are going, like 1.7. I need to write my article about 1.7. I think it's due tomorrow. But I'm betting like the new races and new areas will probably come out in 2.0. Like that's probably what they're headed for when it comes to the patch notes. And yeah,
And just
I'm
to
out
throw
of
it out
time.
there, I tried to link the address. It is someone with podcast at sittingonacouch.com if you have any questions outside of the podcast.
Okay.
well, I
And-
am ready.
One last question from I don't even know how to pronounce his name. Kiwi, do you want to take a crack at it? It's like second to last guy posted.
How many?
It's
Mr.
like
Amaduson.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That's it. How many labor points does the biggest labor point potion restore, and what do they sell for roughly? Just to get a like idea of how easy it'd be to get those labor points.
Well, right now, there's only one type of labor pot, if I'm not mistaken,
Okay.
and it restores 1,000 labor, and it has a 12-hour cooldown. However, that cooldown is only character bound; it's not account bound. But you have to be level 15 to use it. So if you had, 4 characters that were over level 15, each of those 4 characters could have 2 labor potions per day, at 1,000 labor per potion. So you can get a lot of labor back from that. But on the auction house, I haven't really checked it, but when it first came out on the store, they were selling for about 20 gold each. I have seen it drop down to about 13, 14 gold, but generally it's kind of around that area. I haven't really seen it more than 30 myself.
And just to put that in perspective for people who haven't played the game, the max amount of labor points you can get is 5,000. So, I mean, at one given time, you'd only need about 5 of them to max yourself out.
Hi, puppy. And last question before we head out, because I know Mark's time is over at the moment, and that is, what do we think about the lack of housing space? I think servers is going to take care of that.
I feel like once it goes live, that won't really be a problem anymore because you will have multiple servers. Everyone's going to be spread out more. You're going to have a lot of people who aren't going to be, or who are just going to be mostly free to play, or they're not going to care as much because they don't want to pay for it and like that sort of thing. Like,
and over time, there's going to be more areas added to the game. So it's not like what you start with isn't all you're ever going to have forever. There's going to be more areas. There's already huge amounts of space in like the backyard of White Arden that could have been turned into like housing area. It's a big flat area. Why not? But I guess they're saving it for, I don't know, a rainy day. Who knows what they're saving that flat area for.
Right.
All right, so that's all we have for today. We'll be back in 2 weeks and with another podcast. So long, everyone.